Beginning, the war that should have ended me. My name is Warandhonor, former captain of the Terran Auxiliary Corps, later assigned to the Alienempire as a human military advisor. If you're wondering how a human ended up fighting for one of the most powerful alien civilizations in the galaxy, trust me, sometimes I wondered too. It began with a simple diplomatic exchange. Earth sent military personnel to observe the war between the Alienempire and the brutal Krax Dominion, a species of ruthless, bone-plated conquerors who believed emotions were weakness and compassion was a disease. The Erexians were everything the Krax were not. Graceful, strategic, radiant, quite literally, their skin shimmered with energy fields that pulsed with their emotional state. They valued honor and unity above all else. And their ruler, Queen Lyria Every, was legendary. More than a monarch, more than a general, she was the heart of her people. Yet despite their brilliance, the Erexians were losing the war. The Krax outnumbered them, outflanked them, outmaneuvered them, until the day the Erexian High Council made a radical request. Human Captain Warandhonor, will you lead our forces?
Me,
a human outsider, commanding an alien empire's army. It should have been impossible. It should have been suicide. But I said yes. And I won. Not because I was a hero, not because I was special, but because losing was not an option. By the war's end, I expected nothing. No praise. No reward. No celebration. But Queen Lyria had other plans. The ceremony of truth. The war ended on the burning cliffs of Veros Prime, the Dominion's stronghold. When the final Krax warship fell from the sky, flaming like a dying star, the Erexian forces erupted in victorious light. Queen Lyria summoned me to the capital world of Every Prime for ceremonial acknowledgement. Her palace was unlike anything I'd seen. Floating spires, waterfalls that fell upward, crystalline halls that echoed softly with harmonic energy. Erexians shimmered in the corridors, their emotional glows flickering with excitement as I passed. When the grand doors to the Hall of Convergence opened, I found thousands gathered, royal guards, scholars, nobles, soldiers, every Erexian who mattered. And at the center,
Queen Lyria.
Tall, luminous, dressed in armor forged from starlight. Her eyes glowed softly with swirling amber. She extended a hand. Captain Warandhonor, she said, voice echoing through the hall. The war is over because of you. I bowed. I did only what was necessary. No, her voice sharpened. You did what no Erexian could. You changed the course of our destiny. She turned toward the crowd and lifted her hands. My people, we stand victorious. Honor demands a reward for our champion. The hall erupted with harmonious applause, literally harmonious, their voices forming layered tones like music. Then Lyria looked directly at me. Warandhonor, by ancient tradition, the one who saves the Empire shall receive what the Empire holds most precious.
She paused.
I braced for some kind of ceremonial artifact. A weapon, a jewel, a title, but instead she declared, your reward is a companion. The hall fell silent. My mind went blank.
A what?
Before I could respond, she turned, and a woman stepped forward. The woman from a dying house. She was breathtaking, tall even by Erexian standards, with deep sapphire skin, silver-white hair cascading down her back, and eyes like burning starlight. She wore ceremonial robes, elegant and shimmering. She stopped before me and bowed her head. I am Saren Valari, she said softly, and I am yours. I nearly collapsed. Wait, what?
No.
This isn't. Queen Lyria raised a hand. Silence. The hall obeyed instantly. Her eyes softened, not unkind, but stern. Human customs are different, I know. But understand this. Saren is not a slave. She is not a prize. She is a daughter of House Valari, one of our most honored noble lines. Saren lifted her chin with quiet pride. My house was nearly destroyed in the war, she explained. The queen wishes to preserve what remains. Lyria stepped closer to me. Orin, this is not a forced bond, but you have revived our hope. This empire wishes to honor you with kinship. I swallowed. Kinship? A family, Lyria said simply. A bond. A lifelong ally who stands with you. The hall awaited my response. No one told me this was a possibility, I whispered. Lyria nodded. It was not a possibility, she said softly, until you changed everything. Saren held out her hand, gently,
Steadily.
not demanding, inviting. Will you accept me? She asked. My heart hammered. What was I supposed to say? The escape to the gardens. I need air, I muttered. Lyria nodded. Go. Saren will follow. The gardens outside the hall were vast, floating platforms covered in glowing plants, streams of light weaving through the air like ribbons. I paced. Saren stood respectfully several steps behind me, silent and composed. Finally, I turned. You don't even know me. She smiled faintly. That is not how Orexian bonds work. Well, that's how human bonds work. I have studied humans, she said evenly. I know your fears, your reluctance, your instinct to run from anything that feels permanent. I nearly laughed. She wasn't wrong. Saren stepped closer. You are not being forced. You may refuse the queen. She will accept it. I blinked. Really?
Yes.
But it will shame her.
Oh.
And shame my house.
Oh.
And shame every soldier who died believing you saved them. Now you're just making this worse. She tilted her head slightly, amused. You humans worry too much. I have good reason right now. Perhaps. But understand this, Orenhale, Orexians do not give themselves lightly. And we do not offer companionship to those we do not believe worthy. Her voice softened. I volunteered. I froze.
What?
She nodded. I asked to be chosen. I requested it of the queen herself. Why? She stepped even closer. Because I watched you fight. I saw the way you treated our wounded, even when you were barely standing yourself. I saw your compassion, your fire, your refusal to abandon hope. She placed a hand on her chest. And I felt something I had not felt in many years. My heartbeat thudded painfully. What did you feel? She whispered. Safety. Middle, the political backlash. I didn't answer her immediately. I told her I needed time. She agreed. But the Orexian Council did not. The next morning, the palace halls buzzed like angry insects. Nobles shouted. Generals protested. Scholars debated ancient laws. The human must accept. Humans cannot be trusted with noble blood. This decision threatens tradition. This honors tradition. The queen gives too much to an outsider. Queen Lyria called a council meeting and dragged me into it. I stood before a semicircle of glowing advisors, each radiating emotional colors like a mood-ring nightmare. One elderly advisor, skin glowing crimson with offense, spoke first. Human Orin, do you understand what refusing does? I think so. It insults the empire. No, it insults your pride, muttered another advisor, glowing in calm green. Silence, Sereth, snapped the crimson advisor. Lyria lifted a hand. The room quieted instantly. Orenhale, she said, you are not required to accept. But the council demands clarity. I looked at Saren, standing behind the queen, hands folded, expression serene. I looked at the council, thousands of years of tradition glaring at me. I looked at Lyria, waiting, hopeful, but unpressuring. And I realized something. I wasn't afraid of the bond. I was afraid of choosing something I didn't deserve. Saren deserved more. Lyria deserved a better reward system. The Empire deserved stability. But Saren's gentle eyes reminded me of every moment in the war when I felt alone until Orexians stood at my side. Maybe they weren't asking for a chain. Maybe they were offering a place. A family. The assassination attempt. Before I could speak, a deafening explosion tore through the chamber. The shockwave knocked me to the ground. Guards screamed. Council members scattered. Smoke filled the air. From the smoke, 3 Krax insurgents emerged, survivors of the war, fueled by vengeance. Kill the queen, one roared. They charged. Lyria activated her shield, deflecting the first blow. Saren pulled me behind her, wings flaring with light. No, I shouted. I'm not hiding. I grabbed a fallen guard's plasma spear and swung it upward, intercepting the Krax warrior's descending blade. The blow shook my bones, but I held. Saren joined beside me, blades extending from her wrists, movements impossibly fluid. Lyria fought the second insurgent with devastating elegance, her strikes glowing like comets. But the third insurgent leaped at Saren from behind. I moved without thinking. I rammed the spear into his chest.
He fell.
Saren turned, eyes wide, glowing with shock. You saved me. You saved me first. And you saved my mother, she whispered. Breathless, we both looked at Queen Lyria, who stood victorious over her attacker. The chamber was silent. Then finally, the queen smiled. Not a political smile. Not a regal smile. A mother's smile. Ending. The bond accepted. When the rubble was cleared and the council was safe, Lyria turned to me. Oren Hale, she said softly. You fought not as a soldier, not as an outsider, but as one of us. Saren stepped beside me. Her hand found mine. Oren, she whispered, I asked to be your reward, but only if you wanted me to be. I looked into her luminous eyes, and everything finally made sense. I don't want a reward, I said quietly. The council stiffened. Lyria's glow dimmed slightly. But I continued. I want a choice. Saren's breath caught. And my choice is you. Her eyes softened with warmth. And my choice is you, she whispered back. The council gasped. Lyria exhaled, relieved. Then it is decided, she declared. Let the Empire witness this union of 2 warriors, one human, one Orexian, bound not by tradition, but by mutual will. Saren took my hands. Oren Hale, she murmured. Will you stand beside me? I smiled. For as long as you'll have me. Light blossomed around us, Orexians expressing joy through shimmering brilliance. And for the first time since the war began, I felt at peace. Not because I'd been rewarded, not because I'd been honored, but because I'd found something worth fighting for, not just fighting against. An empire, a queen, and the alien woman who chose me just as I chose her.